Hello everyone, welcome to free crash course for competitive exams held by VIRAT HINDUSTAN SANGHAM in association with Manifest IAS Bengaluru. So this program is inspired by Dr. SUBRAMANIan SWAMY, the stalwart of Indian politics, and it was started on 28th of January, right? So it is convened by Sri Ravishankar sir, State Education Convener, VHS Karnataka, and also President of Good Neighbors India NGO. So I am the chief mentor of your program, DHANUSH Kumar. I have the experience of mentoring civil service aspirants for past 5 years, right? Okay, you can watch this program online on the YouTube channel of VIRAT HINDUSTAN SANGHAM. So you can watch it here or on the YouTube channel of UDAYA News Karnataka. There also you can go and watch the program. So you can connect with us if you have any doubts, any queries, any questions. Please comment in the comment below the videos, and also, but that will have some delayed response. But if you want quick response, please message us on the VHS Education Forum Telegram channel. So I have provided the link here. You will get free mentoring as well there. VHS Education Forum Telegram channel, right? Okay. So here is a timetable. So I have been telling the timetable again and again. What to expect out of these classes for freshers and veterans. Freshers use it as a concept clearing class, whereas senior aspirants use it as a revision program. You are going to get the entire gist within 2 months, right? So you can join our Telegram channel VHS Education Forum either by typing this or also scanning the QR code. Fine. Okay. Today we are on the day 8th of history. Day 8th of history, right? Okay. So post-war national scenario. So which war? Post World War II, right? Post World War II, what was the scenario? So we have started this chapter already. So election results. Which election? Provincial election and central legislature. There is an election takes place. Election takes place for the provincial and central legislature. And what was the performance of Congress? Congress performs exceedingly well. It got 91% of non-Muslim votes, okay? And in the Central Legislative Assembly similar to today's Parliament, their Congress got 57 out of 102 seats, right? Okay. In the provincial elections also, many of the provinces Congress wins, right? Muslim League, it gets 86% of votes of Muslims. 86% of Muslim votes go to Muslim League. It captures 30 seats in the Central Legislative Assembly, right? Okay. So provincial elections also it wins. We have 2 provinces. The provinces are Bengal and Sindh. Okay. Significant features of the election. What was the significant features of the election which takes place post World War II, right? Okay. So here we see communal voting. Communal voting is seen. Communal voting is means what? Hindus vote for Hindus, Muslim vote for Muslims. So this is communal voting. This takes place in the election, right? Along with that, limited franchise. What do you mean by franchisee? Voting rights, right? Only 10% of Indians had voting rights. Today, how many percent? More than 70%. Though we give 100% voting rights, so people who are registered as voters, only 70% of Indians have registered as voters. Fine. Next comes the cabinet mission. Cabinet mission comes in which year? 1946. So who is the head of the cabinet mission? Patrick Lawrence. Patrick Lawrence is the, so he is the Secretary of State. So what do you mean by Secretary of State? I have already discussed. He is a member of British Cabinet. Okay. So along with that, there are other members also. One more person is Stafford Cripps of the Cripps mission fame, right? Next, one more person, A.V. Alexander. Please know the names. Okay. So why do they come? They come, how do we transfer the power from British to Indians? So why with British withdrawal seemed imminent now? So ಬ್ರಿಟಿಷರು ಈಗ ಭಾರತವನ್ನು ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಹೊರಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಸಾಕಷ್ಟು ಪ್ರೆಷರ್ ಇತ್ತು. ಏನಕ್ಕೆ? ವೈ? ಸೊ ಹಿಯರ್ ದ Quit India movement was a success. Quit India movement had a success, and even rural people had become nationalist, right? Even, and the second most important factor is bureaucracy. Government servants also started supporting the Congress. So they did not support the British, right? Second point. So next, and also British policy of repression, that is suppressing the mass movement has its limitations. It cannot suppress the Indians completely. That had its limitations. Okay. So along with that, the 1937 election, Congress rules for how many months? 28 months. In these 28 months, Congress does lot of good work. That is also there. Next, there was actually this revolts, 3 upsurges which I spoke about. INA revolts, RIN. In the last class I spoke about this. This also had a liberating experience. So also now all sorts of lenience was given to Indians. All sorts of offers were made. Nothing except independence was satisfactory. Only independence could satisfy the Indians. So British rule had reached that stage, the tip of the volcano. Tip of the volcano means it has reached the tip. From here, there is no way out. They have to just fall, right? So British rule had no other way. Next, on the eve of cabinet mission. What do you mean by eve? Just before. So you know Christmas, right? When is Christmas celebrated? 25th of December. Whereas 24th of December is called eve of Christmas. Similarly, eve of cabinet mission plan. So here Congress demands that the power be transferred to one center. So Muslim League was demanding you frame 2 centers and give one Pakistan center and India center. You give power to both, whereas Congress was demanding one center. Okay. Next, British actually wanted, by now British policy also changed. So till 1945 Simla plan, right? Wavell plan, till then they supported the Muslim League. Now they are saying no separate nation. British say only one nation, because if they do 2 nations, it will be bad for British name. British will carry bad name, right? So this was what was the position of Indians on the eve of cabinet mission plan. So cabinet mission arrives. It arrives to India. So what were the issues in front of them? One is interim government, that is ಮಧ್ಯಂತರ ಸರ್ಕಾರ. ಬ್ರಿಟಿಷರು ಹೋಗದ ಮೇಲೆ ಮತ್ತೆ ಭಾರತ ಸರ್ಕಾರ ಸಂಪೂರ್ಣವಾಗಿ ಚಾಲ್ತಿಗೆ ಬರೋಕ್ ಮುಂಚೆ ಮಧ್ಯಂತರವಾಗಿ ಒಂದು ಸರ್ಕಾರ ಬೇಕು. ಅದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ they talk. Next, procedure for framing a new constitution. How it would be formed, that will also be discussed in the cabinet mission plan. So what is the cabinet mission plan? What are the main points, right? So they reject Pakistan. Cabinet mission plan, please remember, Cripps mission allows Pakistan, cabinet mission doesn't allow Pakistan. Please remember the difference, right? Okay. So, and also, why do they reject? Because Pakistan will be in the two places. One is west, another is east. There will be difficulty. That is one thing. Next, communal self-determination. That is, if Pakistan is given, Sikhs will demand Khalistan. That is also there. Next, regional ties. That is, Bengal had to be divided, Punjab had to be divided into two Punjabs and two Bengals. That will also be problematic, right? So, also armed forces will also be divided. That is also problematic. So, what they do? They do grouping. So, they do grouping. 3 groups they form. What are the 3 groups formed by cabinet mission? Section A states, Section B states, and Section C states, right? So, Section A, what were the states? You need not know the exact states. Just remember, Section states, A states were Hindu majority. They were Hindu majority states. Whereas, Section B states, Section B states were Muslim majority states, which were on the either side of India, right? Northwest and east. Okay. Next, Section C, also Muslim majority. So, this is western side, that is today's Pakistan. This is eastern side, that is today's Bangladesh, right? So, this is the India we have today. Section B went into Pakistan. Section C went on to become Bangladesh, right? Also, the cabinet mission gives 3-tier executive and legislature, right? What are the 3-tier? How many tiers do we have now? We have 2 tier plus 1 tier of Panchayati Raj, right? Panchayati Raj is the 3rd tier. But in the cabinet mission, they don't give Panchayati Raj, they give provincial, sectional and union. Provincial, individual states, section, group of states, union, entire India. Okay. Next. So, Constitutional Assembly would be elected indirectly by proportional representation. Constitutional Assembly would be elected indirectly by proportional representation. I have spoken about it in polity, right? Next, Constitutional Assembly will sit separately. Group A states will sit separately, B states will sit separately, C states will also sit separately to decide the constitution of the provinces. But when they have to, this is separate for province. But when they have to decide the constitution of the union, they sit together, right? Okay. A common center for defense and communication. What is the role of union? So, provinces will have all the powers, but union has few powers: defense, finance, defense, communication and external affairs, right? Okay. Next, provinces will have full autonomy. Provincial autonomy was given by cabinet mission, right? So, and also princely states. Princely states till now under whose control? Under British control. Later on, they say you can either join India or Pakistan, right? Okay, also here one provision is there. See, provinces get together and become sections, right? So, here the cabinet mission says this section, if a province has joined, suppose the Punjab province has joined the section of this, that is B section, that is Western Pakistan. After 10 years, they can come out of that section. That is one point very important. At this point, I'll tell you why. Next, different interpretations. So, the Congress say the grouping was optional. Say this grouping, right? The Congress says it is optional. It can be done or it may not be done. Whereas League says this grouping is compulsory. Hindus, Muslims grouping is compulsory. So, what happens? So what happens? They interpret it differently, but the cabinet mission says grouping is compulsory, right? So main objections. Congress say 10 years. This is too much a time. Rather, the provinces should have an option that they need not join the section in first place, right? So if cabinet mission say you join the section, then after 10 years you get out of the section, right? But Congress says they need not join. First of all, they need not join the section. That is why I told that point is important. Okay. Next we have league says, and also in the princely states actually in the Constitution Assembly has nominated members. Congress say even princely states should have elected members. So Muslim League says the section B, that is sections are compulsory. Sectioning is compulsory. Congress says it need not be compulsory. Next, acceptance and rejection. Acceptance and rejection. Both of them accept on different states, different dates. Okay. Wavell's breakdown plan. So what is Wavell? Wavell, who is Wavell? Is a viceroy, right? Is a viceroy. So Wavell says we will see. Suppose, okay. So what happens? Suppose this is your India. Let's assume this is your India. So here is Pakistan, here is Bangladesh, right? So Wavell says we will give India to Indians and take British power to this province and this province. So what we will do is, this part we will rule, this part but not India. This shows that they can oppress the Muslim League but not Congress. But this plan was also rejected, right? Okay. Next, Nehru says, so what happens? I told three groupings, section A, section B and section C. So in 1946, Nehru says, though he agrees initially compulsory grouping, he says the compulsory grouping need not be compulsory. He makes this statement and suddenly the Muslim League gets angry and they give call for direct action. Direct action day. What do you mean by direct action day? Killing of Hindus wherever they are found. So there will be lot of communal violence. Thousands of Hindu, Muslim, innocent people will get killed. So this was sanctioned by whom? Muslim League. Direct action day. They are a violent people. Next, communal holocaust and okay, one second. Communal holocaust and the interim government. So the communal holocaust means violence, communal violence. So changed government priorities. So earlier the British were throwing baits to Muslim League. Now Britishers go pro-Congress. They say even if Muslim League doesn't join the interim government, Madhyantara Sarkarakke, Muslim League serilla andru, we are going to frame a government with Congress. Who says it? British government. Okay. So that is what? Changed government priorities. Next, interim government, Madhyantara Sarkara. Okay. So Congress headed by Nehru was sworn in as a first nationalist government, so interim government. Okay. So here what happens in the interim government? Actually Wavell will be the viceroy, but other members, executive members, I have told executive council, viceroy's executive council. In the viceroy executive council, Wavell will be there, Nehru will be the prime minister, vice president. There will be no post of prime minister back then in the interim government. Nehru will be vice president, right? So here what happens? even after forming the interim government by Congress, later on Muslim League also joins the interim government and they obstruct the functioning of interim government. Interim government, they obstruct the functioning, right? Obstructionist approach and ulterior motives of the League. They get into the interim government not to rule India but to demand Pakistan. They want to demand Pakistan. That is why they have they have got into interim government. So here on the first day, Constitutional Assembly, first day, December 9, 1946, League, Muslim League won't attend the Constitutional Assembly. So here, what happens? The Nehru, what does he do? He passes a objective resolution. Objective resolution. What should be the objective of the Constitution? That resolution was passed by Jawaharlal Nehru. So it was passed in 1946, right? Okay. So here they Liaquat Ali Khan, Pakistan's first Prime Minister and also Finance Minister in the interim government, he obstructs the functioning of the interim government. So they clearly, just like earlier Swaraji strategy. So Swaraji, what they used to do, they got into Central Legislative Assembly just to create obstruction. Similarly, Muslim League got into interim government just to create obstruction for Congress. Okay, next, birth and spread of communalism. How did communalism, that is ಕೋಮುವಾದ ಭಾರತದಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಗೆ ಉದಯಿಸಿತು ಮತ್ತು ಹೇಗೆ ಬೆಳೆಯಿತು, right? Okay, characteristic features of Indian communalism. So we have many types of communalism. The first type is communal nationalism. So what is communal nationalism? So a group of people, see, you belong to some particular religion. So you belong to some particular religion. You only that religion should form a nation, right? You belong to one particular religion. That religion should only form the nation. So here all the people who are in that religion, their interests, their goals are same. That is what is communal nationalism. Next part is liberal communalism. Liberal communalism. Okay, so here what they say, if two religions are there, if the interest in religious peers are different, ಧರ್ಮದ ವಿಷಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಅವರ ಅಭಿಮತ ಬೇರೆ ಇದ್ರೆ, ಧರ್ಮೇತರ ನಾನ್ ರಿಲಿಜಿಯಸ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ their interests are different. Secular objects and religious objects, their interests are different, right? This is said by whom? A liberal communalist. Next, we have extreme communalism. Extreme communalism. What is extreme communalism? That here what they say, religion and secular sphere interests are different, right? ಧರ್ಮ ಮತ್ತೆ ಧರ್ಮೇತರ ವಿಷಯಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಅಭಿರುಚಿ ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ, ಹಿಂದೂಗಳದು ಮತ್ತು ಮುಸಲ್ಮಾನದು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ರೀಮ್ ಕಮ್ಯುನಲಿಸಮ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಅಲ್ಲ, we cannot live together. We cannot live together. That is why this is extreme communalism is a violent movement. Clear? Okay. So when did this communalism start? Actually, it was there as a feature throughout India's history. Throughout India's history, it is there, but it got fueled after the 1857 Sepoy Mutiny, right? After 1857 Sepoy Mutiny. So it is a modern phenomena. Communalism in India is a modern phenomena, though it had its history from past. Why it is called a modern phenomena? Because it got aggravated after British came into India. Okay. after, not British came after 1857 war, right? Okay, so here who propagated the communal interest? It is the middle class people. For the sake of jobs, for the sake of their economy, they propagated communal interest. That is, only Hindus should grow or only Muslims should grow. Okay, it was the idea of middle class. Okay. Also, conservative reactionary elements, conservative paramparika, Sanatana Dharma, Sanatanis, whom Gandhiji called as Sanatanis, they gave support to this communalism. Andre ಧರ್ಮ ಕೋಮುವಾದಕ್ಕೆ ಸನಾತನಿಗಳು ಸಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು. ರೀಸನ್ಸ್ ಫಾರ್ ಗ್ರೋತ್ ಆಫ್ ಕಮ್ಯುನಲಿಸಮ್. ವೈ ಡಿಡ್ ಕಮ್ಯುನಲಿಸಮ್ grow in India? Socio-economic reasons. So, what is social? Hindu-Muslim interests were different in language. Our languages were different. Our cultures were different. Our caste system, even Muslims has caste system, that was different. Social status was different. Food was different. And also dress habits. The dresses we wear were different. That is today's hijab versus saffron shawl, right? So many things were different. Okay. Also, Muslims remained traditional. They remained traditional. They did not have a modern outlook, right? Whereas among the Hindus, the number of people who had modern outlook were more. And also, the Muslim community was poor. Economically, it was poor compared to Hindus, right? So in West Bengal, the zamindars were Hindus, whereas peasants were Muslims, right? Next, also educated Muslims, there was very few opportunities. So they wanted government job. So that is why they go to British. They become British tools, British pawns, right? Okay. So because of all these socio-economic reasons, what happens is this communalism breeds. Because obviously when there is job scarcity, there is no jobs, there will be competition among Hindus and Muslims for the same jobs. When there is competition, obviously religion, communalism will grow. Okay. Unemployment is one reason. Also, there were talks of Hindu nationalism and Muslim nationalism, right? So, what Hindu nationalism? India is a Hindu nation or a Muslim nation. They used to fight. All these reasons are responsible. Next policy is British policy of divide and rule. British constantly divided the Rajas. They divided the provinces. They divided the Indians. They divided Hindus, Muslims as well. Even the SC/ST population, they tried to divide. So there is a lot of division. They divide and rule. That was a policy, right? So they started this policy after 1857. 1857 date is important. Communalism in history writing. So communal history writing I discussed in the first chapter. So what is communal history writing means? So they thought that ancient India up to your invasion of Muhammad of Ghazni and Muhammad of Ghori, they thought till then Rajput rule was there. Initially Gupta, Harshavardhana, Satavahana, many people were there, right? So till Rajputs were called as Hindu history, whereas post Delhi Sultanate, Ghori, Ghazni, Delhi Sultanate, Lodhis, Sher Shah Suri, Mughals. Medieval history was called as Muslim history. So in history also there was actually very bad writing. Next, side effects of socio-religious reform movements. So socio-religious reform movements I have talked about in detail. What are socio-economic reform movements? Brahma Samaj, Arya Samaj, Wahhabi movement, Deoband movement, right? Aligarh movement, right? So Prarthana Samaj, many of these things, Bharat Dharma Mahamandala, all of them had their impact, right? Next, side effects of militant nationalism. Militant nationalism means what? Extremists. So these extremists, what they used to do? They actually, who is the high priest of extremist nationalism? Who is the most important person? Bal Gangadhar Tilak, right? He propagated what? Shivaji and Ganpati festival. That started the turning point. And also Arbindo spoke about Aryanized world. That is a world full of Aryan people, right? And Arya Samaj was also starting Shuddhi movement. Arya Samaj started Shuddhi movement. Shuddhi movement means taking back Christians and Muslims back into Hindu fold. That also started. And also Muslims started Tabligh movement. Tabligh, take back Hindus into Muslim fold. Communal reaction by majority community. So, who are the majority community in India? It was Hindus. So, because of Hindus' communal reaction, Muslims felt insecure. They felt insecure. There was a lot of reaction. Okay. So, they say Hindus supported Hindi language, Muslims supported Urdu language, right? Okay. So, also there were many organizations, Hindu Mahasabha, so Rashtriya Swayam Sevak, RSS, all these things caused the problem. Evolution of two-nation theory. When did two-nation theory start? So, it starts with 1906. 1906 is the year when Muslim League gets formed. Who is the leader? Nawab Salimullah Khan. Nawab Salimullah Khan, right? So actually now it is now Aga Khan. Aga Khan is the person. Nawab Salimullah is one of the persons, but the main person is Aga Khan, right? Okay. So see, he was one of the person. Aga Khan is the main person. Okay. So because of this, Muslim League started. Once the Muslim League started, it gave a different identity to the Muslims. Okay. Next, this pact, Lucknow Pact, right? Lucknow Pact. This Congress accepted what? They accepted separate electorate of Muslims, right? So 1909, Muslims get separate electorate, and this Hindu Mahasabha also formed in 1915. That is also there. And also Lucknow Pact, that was one blunder. Next, Muslims participated in Khilafat movement. Why did they participate in Khilafat movement? Because of their religious reason, not nationalist reason, right? So even in 1920s, there will be lot of fight between Hindus and Muslims. Arya Samaj was a Hindu Samaj, and also Muslim organizations used to fight. Okay. So Nehru report was also dissatisfactory. So Nehru forms a report. Motilal Nehru, both Hindu Mahasabha and Muslim League oppose it. Both of them oppose the Nehru report in their own way, right? So after this, what happens? In the 1932 Communal Award was given by Ramsay MacDonald. That is also having an impact. And also 1937 elections, Muslim League performed very badly. 1937 provincial election, they get angry. Do you remember? I told about the Pirpur committee. Pirpur committee gets established after 28 months during the 28 months of Congress rule. There, Congress doesn't share the power with Muslim League. They get angry for that. Sorry. Okay. Next, Jinnah. So Jinnah emerges Jinnah is the most prominent person for the evolution of Pakistan. Okay. Next, March 24, 1940, Pakistan resolution is passed. Pakistan resolution was passed in 1940, right? During Second World War. So during Second World War, lot of things happen. Quit India movement, Muslims don't participate. Next, this Shimla conference happens. There, actually, they get a lot of benefits, and also cabinet mission, they don't get benefits. So all these reasons actually culminate in the formation of Pakistan, right? Independence with partition. Independence with partition. 1 second. Okay. Independence with partition. Okay. Attlee statement. Who is Attlee? British? Clement Attlee, British Prime Minister. So, during Clement Attlee only, India gets independence. Probable question in your prelims, right? So he says, Attlee makes a statement, Clement Attlee, that he gives the statement on February 20th, 1947. What is the statement? 1948, June 30, India's British rule in India is going to end. He gives a specific date, and he says British would transfer the power either to one India or two Indias, that is India and Pakistan. And also he says our responsibility with respect to princely states will also end. Okay. Next, Mountbatten will come as a viceroy. That is also said by Clement Attlee, right? Clement Attlee statement important. Why a fixed date? What is the fixed date? June 1948 is the fixed date for independence. So they say, why fixed date? If the date is fixed, it will shock the Indians, and also it will show that British are genuine in their work, right? Next, there was a lot of issues. Constitutional crisis was developing. There was no proper constitution. Muslim League had given the call for direct action day. Because of all this, he gives a fixed date. Clear? Next, Congress stand. Okay. So what happens? Congress actually here in February, Congress accepts Pakistan. Why? Because there will be lot of communal violence. One, and there is no constitutional progress. Muslim League in the Constitutional Assembly was creating deadlocks, right? Okay. Next, independence and partition of India. Okay. So what happens? There will be lot of communal riots in the Bengal and Punjab region. Too much people get killed. So 1947 March 10, Nehru says we are okay with the cabinet mission plan, that is division. So now comes Mountbatten as the viceroy. Why Mountbatten as the viceroy? Because Wavell had created lot of problems. He was not able to solve. So Mountbatten came. So he came to take quick decisions. Quick decisions had to be made. That is why he comes to India. So, and also he had the mandate. That is, he had a clear direction that we have to quit at the earliest. We have to quit India at the earliest. And also, Jinnah was adamant. Jinnah did not want anything except Pakistan, right? So all these things, because of this, to resolve this deadlock, Mountbatten comes. Mountbatten Plan, June 3rd, 1947. So he gives the plan, also called as freedom with partition formula. Freedom with partition formula. What are the main points of this formula? So Bengal and Punjab. Here is Bengal, sorry, here is Punjab, here is Bengal, right? So their assemblies, provincial assemblies are there, right? That is similar to today's state assembly. They will meet and they will decide whether Punjab has to be divided, and also similar in the Bengal. Okay, that is the first point. So in the case of partition, two constitutional assemblies, if partition is carried out, two constitutional assemblies would be done. Next, Sindh, which was there in northwest, that is Pakistan side, it will take its own decision, right? So along with that, the Mountbatten Plan has some pro-Congress points. What are the pro-Congress points? Independence for princely states. Independence for princely states? No. No independence for princely states. Next, independence for Bengal. Independence for Bengal is also ruled out. Next, Hyderabad, accession of Hyderabad to Pakistan. So Hyderabad, your Telangana capital, actually wanted to join Pakistan. So that was ruled out by Mountbatten, and he gives a early date. Who gives the date of August 15? Actually, August 15 date was given by Lord Mountbatten. Next, he sets up a boundary commission. Who is the head of the boundary commission? Radcliffe. Radcliffe is the head of the boundary commission. Why? Congress. No. So also he gives, freedom with partition formula, initially he gives dominion status. So dominion status was initially given. So till now, Congress did not accept dominion status. Why did Congress accept dominion status now? Because it ensures quick transfer of power. We can later cancel dominion status also, but initially it will give quick transfer of power. So also there was explosive situation, that is communal riots were there. That is why they accept the dominion status. Next, rationale for a early date. Why did the early date? The British gave early date. Initially they say June 1948. Why now August 15, 1947? Because there was lot of communal riots, constitutional deadlock. British wanted to escape. They wanted to escape responsibility, right? Okay, so now comes Indian Independence Act. Indian Independence Act. Okay, so this act actually implemented in August 15, 1947. It created two dominions of India and Pakistan. Okay, so this constitutional assemblies, whatever were there for India and Pakistan, they will also function as the respective parliaments, that is respective legislative assemblies, right? Okay, so till then the functioning of India would be carried out on Government of India Act 1935. Okay, so India got independence on 15th August, Pakistan on 14th August. So here one more plan is there. Plan Balkan. Plan Balkan was given by Mountbatten. What is this Mountbatten's Plan Balkan? Okay, so what happens here? He says, Mountbatten, the provinces and princely states. These are the two types of states, right? So he says, Mountbatten says that they should be given freedom to either join Pakistan or join India or remain independent. However, Nehru fights with Mountbatten. He says, this is not right. This is not right. You do create two Pakistans. I mean, one India and one Pakistan. But don't create multiple Indias, because princely states are given autonomy. It will become multiple Indias. Problems of early withdrawal. What were the problems? Communal riots. First problem, communal riot. Second problem, institutional structure. There was no proper transformation structure that could oversee. Idinna partition anna ಗಮನಿಸಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಯಾವುದೇ ಒಂದು structure, institution ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲ. So also this boundary commission by Radcliffe, the result was announced very late. The result was announced on August 12. So even though actually the report was ready on August 12, Mountbatten announced it on August 15th. He announced it on August 15th. Next, integration of states. So who does the integration of states? Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. So if there is any greatest achievement of Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, because of which today the tallest statue of the Sardar is in the Gujarat. Why? Statue of Unity. Why such a big statue? This is his greatest achievement. No other person, including Jawaharlal Nehru or Mahatma Gandhi ji, could have done this task. It was only Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel was the only person who could do this job. Not even Gandhi ji, not even Jawaharlal Nehru could do this job. That is why today the Statue of Unity is there in the Gujarat. That is why there's such a famous statue, right? Okay. Next, integration of states. So what happens here? State people also start demanding political rights. That is, princely states. Princely states, ರಾಜರ ಆಡಳಿತದಲ್ಲಿ ಇರತಕ್ಕಂತ ರಾಜ್ಯಗಳು ಜನರು ಕೂಡ ತಮಗೆ ಪೊಲಿಟಿಕಲ್ ಹಕ್ಕುಗಳು, ರಾಜಕೀಯ ಹಕ್ಕುಗಳು ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಡಿಮಾಂಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಓಕೆ. So Nehru presided over All India States People's Conference. State People's Conference, that is Princely States Conference, he presides over in 1947 and 1945. So here Vallabhbhai Patel takes charge of the Home Department. New States Department, not Home Department. He takes charge of New States Department, right? Who is the secretary? VP Menon. Next, phase 1 of unification. Integration takes place. So there are many places. Unification, integration, consolidation. So we have called it integrate. We have not called it unification. We have not called it. So consolidation happens later. So why we have not called it unification? Unification means everything will be merged into one, right? All castes of, suppose all castes under Hinduism are abolished and everything will be merged into one caste, that is unification. Integration means what? All castes have their identity but they belong to Hinduism. So integration means states are there but they belong to one country. That is the meaning of integration. You integrate. So your integration and differentiation studied in 12th class science. Okay. Next, phase 1. In phase 1, what happens? All states get acceded to India except Kashmir, Hyderabad and Junagadh. So first phase, every state gets acceded. Why do they accede? Because cleverly Sardar says, you just give us external affairs and also defense. That's all. You don't give any other power. Rest you manage. That is what Sardar says initially, right? then there was no internal political structure. That is why they agree. Next, phase 2. So it is a difficult stage. Here, integration of state. See, there was actually not one India, there was multiple Indias, right? There was multiple Indias. Okay. So in this, actually there were multiple Indias. There were many princely states. Many princely states. This had to be made into proper state system. So here what they do, there were small units. Small units, like what? There were princely states like Hyderabad was there, Mysore was there, Travancore was there. Also, there were big units like Kathiawar. Sorry, there were big units like Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan. So, all these small things and big states had to be merged into multiple states. So, this was the second phase. Next, inevitability of partition. Why partition was inevitable? Why Congress accepted partition, right? Okay. So here actually this is a long-term failure of Congress. Congress did not work to did not focus on bringing Muslims into Congress fold since the beginning. Okay. So Congress was called what? Congress was called as a Brahmin organization by whom? By one of the viceroys, right? Next, here, why Congress accepted means there was direct action day. Direct action day was there. That is also the reason why Congress accepted partition. Next, also the partition plan ruled out independence for princely states. So due to partition, the princely states were not given independence. That was a good opportunity, because or else there was no one India but multiple Indias, India within India. Okay. Okay. So because of all these reasons, so even cabinet mission plan, there also the Congress accepts compulsory grouping. So because of all these reasons, the Congress had to accept partition. There was no other way out. Next, constitutional developments between 1770. So that is what we ended the main history thing till here. Independence and partition. This is where your modern history till partition ends. Next, we will look into multiple aspects of British rule. Multiple aspects of British rule. Yes. So first, India under British rule. So all of these things I have discussed in detail in polity as well as in the history section. But I am going to just give a overview, right? Constitutional, administrative and judicial developments under whom? Under British rule. Okay. So, first, constitutional developments between 1773 and 1858. What is 1773? Regulating Act, 1773. Who was the Viceroy? Warren Hastings. 1858, Viceroy Canning. So which act here? Government of 1858, Government of India Act, right? Okay. So Regulation Act of 1773. Okay. So what was the development between 1773 and 1858? So here 64, the East India Company got what right? They got Diwani right. Diwani right of what all province? Bengal, Bihar and Orissa, right? Next, 1765 to 1772, there was dual government in Bengal, right? Rampant corruption was there, and also company went bankrupt, but employees Act of 1773. So it was formed to regulate the British activities. I have discussed in detail, so I'll just skip through. So it is the first time the British recognized the company role legally in India. Next, revenue affairs and civil and military affairs had to be given to British Parliament. Okay, British Cabinet. Next, also they designate Governor of Bengal as Governor General of Bengal, and a Supreme Court was established. The centralization of power. Centralization of power. Okay, that is Bengal, Bombay and Madras was bought under Bengal. Next, Pitt's India Act of 1784, very important act. So here a board of control, court of directors was set up. Board of control and court of directors was set up. Next, Governor General was to have a council of 3, council of Madras and Bombay members, right? Next, it prohibits war. British were ever going into so many wars. It generally prohibits the war. Next, Charter Acts of 1793 to 1853. 1793, what it says, company's commercial contract was renewed for 20 more years, and British had to pay, company had to pay 5 lakh rupees to British government, and also this senior officials should not go out of country without permission of government. Next, the company was allowed to give trade privileges to company employees. Okay, so to individuals as well as company employees, they could give trade privileges and revenue administration was separated from judiciary functions. Revenue, that is your Kandaya department, that was separated from judiciary courts, right? Next, Charter Act of 1813. So it ended the company's monopoly of trade in India. So what is monopoly? Till then only East India Company could trade in India. Afterwards anybody could trade. Next, so board of control power was enlarged. Then company shareholders were given 10% share. Okay, so 1 lakh rupees what to be set up for Indians education, social concern. This is a social concern. Every year Indian education 1 lakh rupees they have to set up. Next, separate accounts have to be maintained for commercial transaction and territorial revenue. So revenue and commercial function, separate account they have to maintain. Next, Charter Act of 1833. So centralization starts in 1773 and peaks. This is the highest point of centralization with respect to British. Okay. Next, company monopoly over trade with China also ended. Till now, company monopoly of trade with China in tea was there, that was abolished. Next, the company, here they say company rule the India in the name of crown. In the name of crown, company is going to rule India. Okay. So Governor General was given powers with respect to civil and military powers. Military powers and civil powers were given to Governor General, and the Bengal, Madras and Bombay province, all these 3 provinces was bought under Governor General control. Okay. So revenues. Next, the Madras and Bombay governments did lose their legislative powers. That is, Madras and Bombay earlier had, they could form their own laws. Now that was abolished. Now that was also abolished. Okay. So Indian laws were codified and consolidated. Here Indian laws were codified and consolidated. So who consolidates Indian's law? Indian's law was consolidated by Lord Macaulay. Macaulay is the first law commission in India. That is pre-independence commissioner, chairman, Lord Macaulay, right? Okay. Next, a law member was added to the council. So Viceroy Council used to be there. For that, a law member gets added. So law was treated as a special function. Next, 1853. Okay. Strength of court of directors was reduced, and also companies patronage over services. Companies patronage over civil services was removed. Law member became a full member. Law member became a full member, right? And also legislative function was separated. So this is when first Central Legislative Assembly forms. Okay. So a 1958 Act. So here what happens? They British take over the entire India rule. Company rule was abolished. Okay, Governor General becomes Viceroy. So developments after 1858 till independence. So everything I have discussed in Indian polity, just giving a review. 1861, 1892, 1909, 1919. So Indian Council Act 1861. So here non-officials in the councils, there will be provision for non-official representation in central and state legislative bodies. Next, portfolio system. What is portfolio system? Today we have what? We have Finance Ministry, Home Ministry, Defense Ministry, so many portfolios. That was started in during Canning, 1961. Next, the government of Bengal, Bombay and Madras was given legislative powers. So here they take away the legislative power of Bombay and Madras. So here they give back the legislative power. Decentralization starts. Next, Indian Councils Act 1892. So this we have seen in history only. So legislative council was enlarged. First point. Next, there was indirect election by the process of nomination that was introduced, and also there was actually budget could be talked about budget. Members could express view on budget. Next, Indian Council Act, the Indian Council Act 1909. See, till here it was called as Charter Act. From here it is called Councils Act, because when does council gets established? 1853. Afterwards council gets established. 1909 Indian Councils Act, also called as Minto-Morley reforms, right? So here legislative council numbers was increased, and also first member into Viceroy Executive Council. First time a Indian will enter Viceroy's Executive Council. That person's name is Satyendra Prasad Sinha, SP Sinha. So who is the first Indian civil servant? Satyendra Nath Tagore. Don't confuse between Satyendra Nath Prasad and Satyendra Nath Tagore. Satyendra Nath Tagore, first Indian civil servant. Satyendra SP Sinha, Satyendra Prasad Sinha, 1909 Viceroy Executive Council member, right? Next, okay, the powers of legislative councils were increased. Central and state levels legislative council powers are increased. Next, 1919 Montagu-Chelmsford reforms. So here bicameral system was introduced at the center. Next, communal representation was given to Sikhs, Christians, Anglo-Indians. Diarchy was introduced in the province. So many other provisions. You can look into it in your Lakshmikant also here. Simon Commission comes in 1927. Lot of opposition to this commission. This commission comes to review this act. However, lot of opposition, right? So this commission submits a paper, submits a report to the British. In turn, they bring out a paper. So a white paper on constitutional reforms was white paper on constitutional reforms. Name is important. This was bought by the British government in 1933 after Simon Commission submits its report. Next, Government of India Act 1935, right? So here diarchy, so central level diarchy is introduced. Central level earlier, provincial level diarchy I have already told. Next, federal legislature was to have two chambers, that is upper house and lower house. That was reiterated, and three lists was given: union list, federal list, provincial list, and concurrent list. So provinces, there was diarchy, that was abolished. Next we have communal electorate was further extended to depressed classes, women and labor. So many of the provisions you can look into your Lakshmikant. So I have also discussed in the Lakshmikant in detail. Next, evolution of civil services in India. How did civil service evolve in India? Civil service is your IAS and IPS. And of course, all the other services. But civil service means generally it comes to our mind, it is IAS and IPS, right? Okay. Evolution of civil services in India. So, Cornwallis role. So, he is called the what? So, he is the first person who brings in civil services in India, right? Why civil services? Means company had many works. So there was military works were there, revenue work was there, commercial work was there. So many company was engaged in so many areas to carry out these functions effectively. So the company forms civil service. So Cornwallis was the first person to bring organized civil service. Organized means what? Proper hierarchy. Level 1, level 2, level 3. Like this. From your village accountant up to district magistrate, proper civil service was given by Cornwallis. He gives high salary first to the civil servants. Why high salary? To reduce corruption. And he prohibits private trade. Civil servants cannot carry out private trade. And also he prohibits corruption. Next, Wellesley role. Wellesley 1800. 1800 he becomes the Viceroy or Governor General. So till 1858 it was called Governor General. Only after 1858 the name Viceroy comes. So Wellesley actually not much work with respect to civil services, but he sets up a college, but that gets abolished later on, not very important. Next, Charter Act of 1853. So here 1833, what happens? 1833, there is a provision, there will be a provision that Indians should be taken into what? Indians should be taken into civil service. However, this gets enacted only in 1853. So, it opened the civil services for Indians, that is open competition. So, however, higher civil services, Indians could not go. Higher civil services, they could not go. So, because British did not trust the Indians, they did not give higher services, right? So it was reserved only for Europeans. Next, Indian Civil Services Act of 1861. This act is very, very, very important. So actually there is Indian Councils Act, right? Indian Councils Act of 1861 and also Indian Civil Service Act of 1861. There is high probability that you will get confused. So there are two acts, 1861 Act. So here covenanted and non-covenanted civil services. What do you mean by covenanted? Covenanted means, see, it is similar to your guested and non-guested post, right? So what are the guested posts today? Group A and Group B are called guested post. Group C and D, non-guested. So what do you mean by guested and non-guested? The appointment of these persons. Suppose you become a KS officer, right? Suppose you become a KS officer or you become an IAS officer, your name would be published in the Gazette of India. Gazette of India or Gazette of the particular state. Suppose you become a PSI. PSI is a Group C post, right? So here your name would not be published in the Gazette of the state, right? Also Group A, Group B officers, one more difference. They to sign they use green pen. So here these people cannot use green pen. So this is the difference. Similarly, we have covenanted and non-covenanted post. So I hope you understand. Covenanted higher level, non-covenanted lower level. Okay. Next, statutory civil service. What do you mean by statutory? Statutory means based on law. If a law gives effect to a civil service, that is statutory. So this was bought by Lytton. Lytton brings this. Lytton is a viceroy. So he brings this. Later it gets abolished. It gets abolished. Okay. Congress demand and Hutchinson committee. This committee name is important. They are going to ask you in your prelims. Hutchinson committee on civil services. Okay. So this was set up in 1886 by Dufferin. Dufferin was the viceroy. Okay. So here Hutchinson committee drops covenanted and non-covenanted. This distinction was dropped. Okay. Next, they classify the service into imperial civil service, provincial civil service and subordinate civil service. They classify the service into three areas: imperial higher level, subordinate lower level and provincial, right? That is middle level. Next, age limit. So today for appearing for IAS exam, the age limit is 32 for general. But back then for everybody, the age limit was 23. 23. Okay. This Lytton also reduces it to 19 years. There will be a lot of fight. Okay. Next, Montfort reforms. What happens in the, so anything under Hutchinson committee? No, these are the points. Next, Montfort reforms. What do you mean by Montfort? Montagu, Chelmsford, together called Montfort. So here they say we should employ more and more Indians in civil service. Next, they also recommend earlier, if you want to become a civil servant, you have to go to England. Your Satyendranath Tagore went to England to write civil service exam till 1919. So the exam was conducted only in London. So if you want to become an IAS or IPS, you have to go to London and write the exam. But 1919, they say the exam has to be conducted in India and England both. Next, okay. So Lee Commission. This committee name is also very, very important, along with Aitchison Committee. So he says, so this Secretary of State should recruit the civil servants. Secretary of State. So today who recruits the IAS and IPS? So they are appointed in the name of President, right? So you become a IAS and IPS, you are appointed by President, right? So Secretary of State can appoint the civil servants. That is what they say. Next, so they make two kinds of civil services. One is Indian Civil Service, irrigation service, other service, central level and provincial level. Education service, medical service, provincial level. Next, so Public Service Commission should be immediately established. They say we should establish a Public Service Commission. Okay. Next, Government of India Act 1935. What does this act say? This act says you establish FPSC and PPSC. Just like today's KPSC and UPSC, 1935 Act said Federal Public Service Commission, Provincial Public Service Commission. Hope I am clear. Okay. Next, evaluation of civil services under British rule. What was the evaluation of British civil services under the British rule, right? So initially the Indians were excluded. Only Europeans were there. However, there was actually only Indians started entering in 1863. Indians started entering civil service in 1863, and the exam was held only in England, and also you have to learn Greek and Latin to pass civil services, right? Okay, so the age was reduced to 19 years under Lytton. So higher authority posts were reserved for Europeans only. So Indianization occurred very slowly. That is, people of India got into civil service very slowly. Next, this is about civil service. Next, evaluation of police system in modern India, right? So how did police evolve in India? In Mughal system, there was no formal police. Mughals, there was no formal police. There were Faujdar for maintaining law and order, Amil for revenue collection, Kotwal for city. Kotwal used to be there for city. And also in Bengal, Bihar and Orissa, there were Zamindars and Tanedars. Zamindars used to maintain Tanedars. They used to be like local police. Okay. So in 1770, what do British do is they abolish Faujdar and Amils. So, but Warren Hastings, 1774, he establishes Faujdar. Faujdar means just a police, right? A name in Urdu. Okay. So they establish Faujdar Thana. Faujdar means also you can relate it with inspector, right? So they establish Faujdar Thana. Next, 1791, there is a system of Thanas. Thanas today you call as circle inspector, right? Circle inspector. Once you get into PSI, after now though it will take 15 years to become circle inspector, right? Circle inspector means how many stars? 3 star. It will take minimum 15 years now. So there is lot of very less vacancies. Okay. So this the thanas, circles, and also circles. That is, if a district is there, it was divided into multiple thanas. This was done, and also a daroga, that is SP. SP is also called Daroga. In a district, sorry, Tanas under a Daroga. Daroga means inspector, circle inspector, and your superintendent of police was their SP. This was introduced by Cornwallis. Next, Mayo appointed SP for a district, and also Goendas. Goendas means Goendas, not Govindas. Goendas, Goyendas, Goyendas. They were what? Spies. They were spies, not SPICE, SPIES. Spy, Gudachararu. Okay. Next, Bentinck. Under William Bentinck, so what does he do? He does a very bad thing. He abolishes the office of SP and transfers the power to district magistrate. So there will be lot of pressure on district magistrate, and there is a bad police force. Next we have a police commission. Police commission 1860. There is a police commission. Police commission 1860. Indian Civil Service Act 1861. Indian Police Commission 1860. Okay. Next, this commission says there should be constabulary. That is, proper constable system should be there, and a IG should be there. IG. That is, suppose in Karnataka has how many IG ranges? Karnataka has some 6 IG ranges, right? Southern range, central range, eastern range, northeastern range, western range, northern range. So totally some 6 ranges are there. These ranges are, so what are ranges means? Districts. Some districts form one range. 5 to 6 districts form one range, and this range districts are headed by whom today? SPs, Superintendent of Police, Police Varishtadhikarigalu. So, and also Inspector General of Police at the provincial level, right? Okay. So, here Curzon, under Curzon, a police commission gets established. Under Andrew Fraser, police commission gets established under Curzon. So what does he say? He say open police training schools, PTC, police training schools, PTS should be established. Okay. Next, and he advises criminal investigation department, CID should be established. Okay. Next, we have so next we will talk about the military under the British. How did? So military is the missionary. Military and police are the two missionaries based on which English British rule survived in India. These two missionaries were the basement for British rule, right? Okay. So there were two kinds of armies. One is company army, another is queen army. There were two kinds of armies, right? Next, so what they say is, after 1858 war, they declare that Indian troops, that is Indian soldiers, should be used for external occupation. That is, if British fight a war with Myanmar or Tibet or Afghanistan, there Indian soldiers should go, whereas British soldiers should safeguard India. So there are two policies. One is defensive policy. So in cricket you do defense, that is stop the ball, defensive policy. Another is offensive policy. Offensive means hit the ball, right? So defense, for defense we should use British troops, for offense we should use Indian troops. So this was the policy. So they say there is a commission established. Commission established in 1859. It says white person should be 1/3. European troop should be 1/3 of the army. So 1/3. Okay. So actually it was different in different provinces. In Madras, in okay, 1 to 2 in, if there is 1 British soldier, 2 Indian soldiers in Bengal army, and 2 to 5 in Madras and Bombay army. 2 white and 2 to 5 Indians. Why this discrimination? Because Madras army and Bombay army remained loyal during 1858, whereas Bengal army fought the British. Okay, so here also British use the policy of divide and rule. They divide the Indians. That is why you see Maratha regiment, Sikh regiment, Gorkha regiment, right? Madras regiment, Assam Rifles. Why so many regiments in army? Because British policy of divide and rule. Okay. Next, they also propagate the idea of martial races and non-martial races. What do you mean by martial race? Martial race means that those people who are masculine, or those who are born warriors, ಹುಟ್ಟು ಸೈನಿಕರು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಸಹಜ ಸೈನಿಕರು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಬೋದು. ಸೈನಿಕ ಕುಟುಂಬದಿಂದ, ಸೈನಿಕ ಪರಂಪರೆಯಿಂದ ಬಂದವರು, martial races. That is, so Gorkhas, everybody were called, Sikhs were called as martial race, and Bengal army was called non-martial. Again, why? 1858 revolt. Okay. Okay, so this was the difference with respect. Also, communal, caste, tribal and regional consciousness was encouraged. That is, Hindu, Muslim, caste, upper caste, lower caste, all these divisions were encouraged in order to divide and rule. Next, development of judiciary in British India. How did court system develop in India? So, in the Mughal times actually what used to happen, there was no proper organization of law courts. Law courts were there was no proper organization. So, Hindu cases were decided by village panchayats or zamindars. Muslim cases was administered by Qazis. Okay, so however, who was the chief judge? The Raja used to be the chief judge. He could do anything. So in 1726, write down, we have Mayor's Court. MAYORS. Mayor's Court was established in Madras, Bombay and Calcutta. 1726, proper mayor courts gets established. Okay, next, reforms under Warren Hastings. So what does Warren Hastings do for judicial system, right? So Warren Hastings, he establishes district Diwani Adalats. Diwani, what do you mean by Diwani? Civil disputes. Your check bones cases, all of them are civil disputes. Civil disputes are called Diwani. The wife and husband fight, it is a civil dispute. When husband kills a wife, that is criminal dispute. This is called, civil is called Diwani of Adalat, criminal is called Faujdari Adalat. Okay. So, district Diwani Adalat so the appeal from district Diwani Adalat led to Sadar Diwani Adalat. That is just like High Court. Sadar Diwani Adalat. So this is district court, this is High Court, right? Next, we have district Faujdari Adalat. District Faujdari Adalat, just like your Sessions Court today. So both these adalats were under the overall control of the collector, right? So the appeal from here used to go to Sadar Nizamat Adalat. Sadar Nizamat Adalat. Okay. So next, 1773, a Supreme Court was established in Calcutta. First Supreme Court, 1773 in Calcutta, it's get established. Next, reforms under Cornwallis. Cornwallis. So here, what does he do? He follows the principle of separation of power. That is, district collector should not interfere in judiciary. He should focus only on revenue administration, right? So the judicial administration should be by judges. That was what said by Cornwallis. So here, so instead of Faujdari Ajalat, this was abolished by Cornwallis. Instead, he establishes circuit courts. Circuit courts gets established. Okay. Okay. So these circuit courts used to have European judges, whereas Faujdari Ajalat, Indian judges, and it had only criminal jurisdiction. Circuit court, both civil and criminal jurisdiction. Both civil and criminal jurisdiction. Right? Okay. Next, Sadar Nizamat Adalat. Sadar Nizamat Adalat. So it was shifted to Calcutta. And so this Nizamat Adalat is this higher body. Sadar Nizamat Adalat. It was shifted to Calcutta and put under Governor General. It was put under Governor General. So next, District Diwani Adalat. District Diwani Adalat was placed under District Judge. It was placed under District Judge. Okay. Next, a gradation of civil courts was established. He establishes a proper civil court system in the civil court. What is the proper gradation? First, Munsif Court. Munsif Court, first level. Next level, Registrar Court. Munsif Court, Indian Judge. Registrar Court, European Judge. Registrar Court, District Court. District Court gets established. That is your Sadar, the District Diwani Adalat. Next, 4 circuit courts. Above this, 4 circuit courts, European judges. This is the civil court system established by Cornwallis. And also he gives a Cornwallis code. Very, very important. Cornwallis code was given by Cornwallis. What is this code? It separates the revenue and judicial administration. It separates the revenue and judicial administration. Reforms under William Bentinck. So again, William Bentinck, what does he do? He abolishes the circuit court. Circuit courts was abolished by William Bentinck. So he sets up Sadar Diwani Adalat and Sadar Nizamat Adalat. Again, Sadar Nizamat Adalat, Sadar Diwani Adalat gets established, which was earlier abolished. Next, now here what happens? Earlier Persian language was used in the courts. They used to talk in Persian. Now it was actually English. English was replaced as the Persian in Supreme Court. Lower courts, here it was Persian and also local language. Also 1833 Law Commission gets established under Macaulay. First Indian Law Commission. Next, we will talk about evaluation, positive and negative aspects of judiciary. So here rule of law was established. Rule of law, what do you mean by rule of law? So rule of law means ಕಾನೂನಿನ ಸಾರ್ವಭೌಮತ್ವ. ಯಾರು ದೊಡ್ಡವರಲ್ಲ, ಯಾರು ಕಿರಿಯರಲ್ಲ, ಕಾನೂನಿನ ಮುಂದೆ ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಸಮಾನರು. Rule of law was established. Hope you understood my point, right? Next, codification of laws. Laws were codified. Okay. Next, European subjects were brought under jurisdiction. So what happens? Earlier European subjects were not under jurisdiction. Now they were brought under jurisdiction. Next, government servants were made answerable to civil courts. Earlier, government servants not answerable to anyone. Now they should answerable. Next, what are the negative aspects? The system was expensive, lot of expense. Next, there was lot of corruption. Corruption was there. Justice was delayed. Today, more than 3 crore cases in Indian judiciary. So the reason dates back to British time. Next, major changes in the administrative structure after 1857. Till now we spoke about what? Judiciary. Now we will speak about administrative structure. New stage of colonialism. Okay. Major. So administrative structure, actually first change takes place in 1857 when they abolished the company rule and established British rule. Okay. So what they do after 1857, they bring in Indians into administration. They take in Indians, more and more Indians into administration. Okay. Next, after industrial revolution, what were the administrative changes? Lot of British investment comes to India. Lot of British investment comes to India. So here what happens? So this administration was carried out to support the investment. That is, investment comes into India, right, from Britain. That investment has to be protected, right? That has to be protected. So administration works to protect the British investment, right? So that is one thing, that is investment. All your railways, roadways, telegraph, all of these were established because of British investment. So that British investment, that was protected by the administration. So this led to new stage of colonialism. New stage of colonialism. Next, administration at the central, provincial and local levels. So central government Act of 1858, the rule was transferred from company to British, right? Okay. So here what happens? The government of India was the name of Governor General was changed to Viceroy, and also there was a Secretary of State. Later on, 1861 Act, Viceroy Executive Council was expanded. Okay. So this is the at the central level. Central level, you just write the 1861 Act, Indian Councils Act, 1892 Councils Act, 1909 Act, 1919 Act. That is what it is all about. Next, provincial government. At the provincial government, I told 1833 was the high point of centralization. However, the centralization got reversed, and provincial in the 1861 legislative powers of Madras and Bombay was restored. Legislative powers of Madras and Bombay got restored, right? Next, financial decentralization was also taken. Later on, financial decentralization was also taken. 1 second. Sorry. Later on, financial decentralization. What do you mean by financial decentralization? Earlier, what used to happen? The central government used to collect the taxes and it used to spend on everything. Now, financial decentralization means both the center and the state collect the taxes. Some tax are collected by center, some tax by state. So, states given the power of taxation. That is financial decentralization. Okay. So, so this is what all with respect to the provincial government. Provincial government. Revenue. One is administrative power. Next is revenue power. Next, local bodies. Local bodies. Okay. So here they try to promote the local administration, municipalities. Okay. So here local services like education, health, sanitation, water supply, these were actually under the local bodies. Local bodies means today's panchayats and municipalities. So these were under the local bodies, right? Next, so decentralization. See what happens, the power will be in the center, right? So and also in the states, right? If the states states get divided into local bodies, many local bodies and municipalities, right? So that is decentralization. That is power from the center is going via to provinces to the local bodies. This is decentralization. Centralization, decentralization, right? Okay. Next, why decentralization? Because people demanded more facilities and also local taxes. Local taxes can be used for local benefit. All these points are helpful with respect to decentralization. Next, in the decentralization, we have Mayo's resolution. Very, very important. Lord Mayo. In Bangalore, you have Mayo Hall, right? Named after Lord Mayo. Okay. So Mayo, 1871, he gives a resolution saying financial decentralization. That is what the central government and provincial government has to give taxation powers to local bodies. That is, in Bangalore, the local body is BBMP. So BBMP has to collect the tax, not the central or the state government. Okay, so they look after medical education. You have BBMP schools, we have BBMP hospitals, so many things. Okay, so next we have Ripen's resolution. So Lord Ripen. So somewhere after between Shumaga and Sagra, you have one place called Ripenpet. It is named after Lord Ripen. And also in Madras, you have Ripen building, Ripen's memorial. So he is one of the very good Governor Generals or Viceroys of India. He was pro-India. That is why people revere him even today. He was the best Viceroy of British till date. So Ripen's resolution. So he is called, this is a prelims question, very, very important. Who is called the father of local government in India? So it is actually Lord Ripen. He is the father of local government in India. He passes a resolution. In 1882, he passes a resolution. The resolution, what does it say? So development of local bodies. Local bodies should be developed, and also there should be urban as well as local level, urban and rural local bodies with their own revenues. They can collect their own revenues. Next, non-officials should be in majority. In these local bodies, there should be non-officials who are the majority. So non-officials means you can understand it as Indians. Non-officials should be the chairman of these bodies, and official interference should be very minimum. Official interference should be very minimum. Okay, so elected members were a minority. So when non-official members become a majority, obviously elected members become a minority. So these were some of the provisions of Ripen's resolution. Very, very important, Ripen resolution. Next, Royal Commission on Decentralization. This commission was sent by whom? Who was the head? Lord Hortag. Okay, it is not given here. Okay, I think it's Hortag only. Okay, so Royal Commission on Decentralization, 1908. Very important from your prelims perspective. Royal Commission on Decentralization. It emphasized on village panchayats. Village panchayats should be entrusted with judicial jurisdiction in petty cases. Today you have Gram Nyayalayas. What is the act? The act name is Gram Nyayalaya Act 2008. Right? Every grama should have a Nyayalaya, mobile courts. Gram Nyayalaya Act. So this village panchayat should have judicial jurisdiction, was said by Royal Commission on Decentralization. Next, so it emphasized importance of sub-district boards. So earlier there used to be district boards. This Royal Commission emphasizes on sub-district boards, that is tehsil or taluka level boards. Taluka level boards. Right? Next, it urged the withdrawal of powers of taxation. So it urged the earlier they used to withdraw the taxation power. This commission says don't withdraw taxation power from the local bodies. Let the local bodies have their own taxation power. Okay. Next, there is actually there are many points. Resolution of 1918, not important. Under diarchy. So that is 1919. Montfort reforms, there was diarchy. Under diarchy, what happens? The local government comes under provincial subject. It is not a state's union subject or a federal subject. Local government comes under provincial subject. Provincial subject. Local government under state. So even today also local government is under what subject? Go and research. Okay, next, Government of India Act. Government of India Act. So what does it do? Provincial. Here provincial autonomy was given in 1935 Act. 1935 Act, provincial autonomy, that is provinces can have their own rule. No central interference. That was given by the 1935 Act. So here what happens? The financial resources institutions remained same. So there was no major development. No major development. Okay, next we will talk about the administrative policies. Administrative policies of British. So administrative policy of divide and rule, right? It is self-explanatory. It divided the Rajas. It divided upper caste and lower caste. It divided Hindus and Muslims. And so many people British divided. Hostility towards Indian education, educated Indians. Hostility means what? What do you mean by hostility? Hostility means enmity. British used to hate the Indians, educated Indians. Why? Because these people were responsible for nationalist movement, right? Congress was established by educated Indians only. So British used to hate the Indians, I mean educated Indians. Attitude towards the zamindars. So zamindars were treated as friendly population. Friendly population, right? Because they were actually supportive of British, so they were called as friendly population, especially after 1857. 1857, what happens? Lot of zamindars lose lot of land and they protest against the British. Later on, they become the friends with British. Next, attitude towards social reforms. Again, till 1857, they were pro social reforms. After 1857, they turn against the social reforms. Underdeveloped social services. Social services, that is education, health, poor care or elderly care, all of which were sanitation. Sanitation, everything was neglected. Next, labor legislations. Was there any labor legislations under the British? Yes, there was. Actually, what happens? The Industrial Revolution. Industrial Revolution in Britain happens between 1760 to 1840. First Industrial Revolution. Right? So, because of Industrial Revolution, there actually the conditions, the conditions of work was so in the Industrial Revolution, the conditions of work will be very bad. So the poor Indians, factory working conditions were very dangerous. Plantation working conditions were very dangerous, right? Okay, so there will be actually two factory acts, Factory Act of 1881 and Factory Act of 1891. What are the provisions? Factory Act of 1881 says that children below 7 years cannot be employed. So till then, even small kids 5 years were employed. Labor Factory Act 1881 says that the minimum age is 7 years for children to get employment. Working hours for children 9 hours, 7 to above 7, 9 hours, and children get 4 holidays per week. Okay. Next, 1891, minimum age. Another act comes, minimum age 9 hours, 9 years, right? And working hours to children 7 hours, 7 hours per day. And also weekly holiday for all. Earlier, no holiday for everyone. Now, weekly holiday for all persons. Next, restrictions on the freedom of press. So, here the British actually treat the press, which is the first Indian newspaper, Bengal Gazette, also called as Calcutta General Advertiser by James August Ike. So he is the founder, right? So British actually treat the newspapers as enemies. Newspapers as enemies. So in 1935, Metcalfe, Metcalfe. So he is a person, he liberates the press. He liberates the press means he opens the press. Restrictions were removed. So he is called, the Metcalfe is also called the liberator of Indian press. Who is the liberator of Indian press? It is Metcalfe. So Lytton imposes many things. Lytton brings in the Vernacular Press Act. I will discuss it later. Vernacular Press Act, and also that is the development of press. And next, white racism. So British used to do racism against black Indians. Next, we will discuss the revenue policy. Revenue policy. So agriculture. So agriculture revenue means during that time, no service industry, no manufacturing industry, it was only agriculture majorly. There was trade was there apart from agriculture, right? So here, since ages, agriculture has been the main occupation of Indians, right? So agricultural revenue was the main system. So Warren Hastings adopted the Ijaradari system. Ijaradari system. So what is this Ijaradari system? So they hire some contractors. They hire some contractors and they give the work of revenue collection to the contractors. So the contractors can collect any much revenue, how much of a revenue they want, but a fixed amount should be given to the British, right? So how the contractors were hired? Whoever says I am going to give the highest amount to the British, they were given the Ijaradari. Warren Hastings. Okay. So here extortion, because of this system, peasants were oppressed. Too much money was collected. Next, so here there was too much money was collected and British peasants go into penury. They become poor and poor. Next, permanent settlement. So who establishes the permanent settlement? Lord. Okay, here what happens first? Actually, it evolves during Lord Hastings, but later on Lord Cornwallis set up a committee on this issue. Okay, so here Lord Cornwallis, what does he do? He divides the land into areas where permanent settlement was promulgated. So he divides the land and gives it to zamindars. The lands are given and they it covered 19% of British Indian territory. So it was introduced by Lord Cornwallis, not Wellesley. Okay. Next, the zamindari. So what are the features of the zamindari system or permanent settlement, also called zamindari system? So 10-year settlement of tax was made with the zamindars. To be paid was 10-year contract. 10-year contract was signed. So that fixed amount the zamindar had to pay to the British. Okay. Next, whatever the revenue the collected, zamindar was allowed 1/10 of the revenue. If they collect 100 rupees, zamindar can keep 10 rupees. And if the people did not give the revenue, their land could be auctioned or it can be transferred from one person to another person. Okay. So that is here the zamindar could seize or take over the peasants' property. Next, shortcomings of the permanent settlement. So the revenue was very high. That was the first shortcoming, and many peasants' land were taken over by the zamindars. It also leads to absentee landlordism. What do you mean by absentee landlordism? Landlord means what? So you rent a house in Bangalore. So the owner of the house is called landlord, right? So what happens under zamindari system? The owner gives the land to peasant, and he will be somewhere else, somewhere in the headquarter, Bengal, Kolkata, or somewhere. He is absent from the land, right? He is not there at the land. So someone else is there, someone else is growing. So this is called as absentee landlordism. Okay. So it was a feature. Next. So this was next, high rates. So because they divide the land. So because of high rates, they divide the land into multiple pieces. So many pieces, so much high revenue. Next, zamindars used to, they used to give pattas. So pattas, today kata is there, right? Similarly, they used to give pattas. So that pattas were given at the discretion of zamindars. That is, poor did not have any right. Next, Rayatwari system. Okay. So we'll finish this chapter before winding up. Okay. Zamindars did not, so they did not invest in improving the land. They did not invest money in improving the land. Who? Zamindars. Next, we have Rayatwari system. Rayatwari system. So Zamindari system in the Bengal region, Bengal, Bihar, Orissa region, we have Zamindari system. Next, we have Rayatwari system. So Rayatwari system where? South India. Mahalwari system, Punjab region. Rayatwari system, South India, Madras region. So here, who is the father of Rayatwari system? It is Thomas Munro. Thomas Munro. Okay. So here Rayatwari system. So here Zamindar used to collect the revenue and give to the British. In Rayatwari, the British collect the revenue directly from the farmer. They collect it directly from the farmer. Okay. So here the tax was 1/3. So you suppose you produce 100 rupees of crops, 33 rupees go to British. That is the taxation. Okay. Next, so here there was the tax was too much. Tax was too much. That was one shortcoming. And next we have here in the Rayatwari system there was lot of bribery, corruption, and so many things was witnessed. So many things was witnessed. Next, okay. Next we have what are the features? Let us discuss some features of Rayatwari system. Okay. So here ownership and occupancy right both were with rights. So in Zamindari system, ownership with Zamindar, occupancy right with peasant. So here both were with the right. Next, Rayat paid Rayat, not R-I-O-T, R-Y-O-T, Raitas. So Raitas paid tax directly to the company. Revenue was not fixed. It could be raised. It could be not like in Zamindari where 10 years they were fixed. So here it was not fixed. That is non-permanent settlement. Next, shortcomings. What are the shortcomings of Rayatwari? Over assessment of revenue. Revenue was over assessed. Too much revenue or too much money. Next, inflexible method. Revenue was collected in a brutal way. People used to be beaten up. Next, corruption. There was lot of corruption. Next, we have Mahalwari system. Mahalwari system was witnessed in the northern India. By whom? Mackenzie. Holt Mackenzie. Okay. So during his time, actually he gives the he gives a report. He gives a report to the British, and actually what happens? It is a complex method of survey, high revenue demand. So it is a complex method compared to Zamindari system, right? There, whether the land is occupied, land is grown or not grown, then also revenue had to be given. Okay. So here one person, Martin's Bird, not important. So he is called the father of land settlements. So it is Holt Mackenzie, who is the father of Mahalwari system, right? Holt Mackenzie. Next, so Mahalwari means every village, Mahal. Every village were considered one Mahal, and that village per headman was responsible for collecting the revenue and giving the revenue to the British. Okay, so even fallow lands, grown lands, nothing was taken into control consideration, and they used to impose revenue arbitrarily. So they demanded a revenue of 50% of rental value. If the land rent is 100%, 50% should be the land revenue. So it is a modified form of zamindari system, because here village headman was the zamindar. He was the zamindar. Next, features. What are the features? Mahal. Mahal used to be the center point. It is either a village or a group of villages. So revenue was determined on the basis of produce. How much a particular Mahal produces, based on that revenue was determined, and village community was considered the owner of land. Not any one person, rather the entire village is the owner of the land. Next, every village farmer had to give his tax. Every village farmer had to give his tax, and village headmen used to collect the tax. Okay, so what are the shortcomings? So too much government interference. Government used to interfere too much. Okay, next, the calculation of revenue was inaccurate. Like revenue calculation. So it was actually bad for the village community. So the tax rates was high, and the village community could not meet the taxation rate. So it led to large scale land dispossession. That is, poor farmers lost their land. Okay, next, overall impact of British land revenue system. What was the overall impact? So Mahalwari system was under 30% of area, 30% of India under Mahalwari, 51% of India under Rayatwari system, and the remaining percentage was under Zamindari system. That is approximately 19% under Zamindari system. Okay, so the Zamindar had a permanent right on land. So here the next change is, earlier land was not measured. After British came, land became measurable. So village community. So there was actually, under Mahalwari, there was fight among the villagemen. So that is not very important. So village artisans became jobless. There was joblessness. Okay. So this is what is the evaluation of the Mahalwari or the British land revenue system. If there is a dispute, the dispute had to be taken to the court. In the court, there used to be lot of legal fees. That is also a shortcoming. Next, British social and cultural policy in India. So here, social and cultural policy, we have industrial revolution. So industrial revolution, what happens? Modernization. See, industrial revolution happens, right? So once industrial revolution happens, factory produced goods comes. Who buys these factory produced goods? Only modern people buy it. So in order to promote factory produced goods, modern people, that is, British encouraged modernization, also called westernization. Next, intellectual revolution, that is, educated Indians increased. Next, also French Revolution had an impact. The ideas of liberty, equality, fraternity, all that comes from the French Revolution. Next, characteristics of new thought. Characteristics of new thought. So new thought, we have rationalism, tarkabadda yochane, humanism, manaviyate was there. Next, doctrine of progress. So characteristics of now new thought, rationalism, humanism, and doctrine of progress. Next, we have so many schools of thought. What are the schools of thought? Quickly we will finish. Conservatives. Conservatives means Sanatanis. That is, in the British only there were conservatives. So what they said? They say Indian civilization is different from Europe. Indian civilization is different from Europe, but not necessarily inferior. Indian civilization is not inferior, it is different. So India is also a very good contribution to society and culture, but we have to introduce certain changes. Sati system, female infanticide, we have to reduce, but we have to do it slowly. Social stability is important. So who are the conservatives? Warren Hastings, Munro, Metcalfe, all these are conservatives. Next we have paternalistic imperialists. So paternalistic imperialists, they criticized Indian society. They said Indian society is bad. Then we have radicals. Radicals are actually Renaissance people, humanist and rational thought. They were manaviyate and tarkabadda yochane ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದವರು radicals. They wanted to make India a progressive force. They wanted to develop India into a progressive force. For that, they wanted radical change. They wanted radical change. Who were the people? Rajaram Mohan Roy. No, Rajaram Mohan Roy and all other members. Okay. So next, Indian Renaissance. Quickly, we will finish off. British social, Indian Renaissance. Indian Renaissance means British, the Renaissance happens when? So it happens in the 15th century, right? So similarly, Indian Renaissance, social and religious change. It happens due to Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar, B.M. Malbari, Rajaram Mohan Rai. Because of all their efforts, we have discussed it in the socio-economic, socio-religious reform. Dilemma before the government. So government, whether it should support socio-religious reforms or should it not. Actually, government supports a policy of colonial modernization. We have to modernize India, but we should not oppose the upper caste. So this they call as colonial modernization. Role of Christian missionaries. What do Christian missionaries? They support the radicals. So radicals, why radicals? Because radicals want to bring quick change, immediate change in the Indian society. Indian society should be made progressive. So, and they also supported the capitalistic section. Capitalistic section because they wanted money from the capitalist, and also capitalist investment is useful. That is British Christian capitalist. Why did they invest in the Christian missionary? Because once people get converted to Christianity, they will buy British made goods. They will get attracted to British made goods. Next, British retreat. British retreat, 1858 onwards, British stopped the socio-religious reforms because it backfired. Why did it backfire? Certain sections of Indian population, they opposed the British, right? So that is why the orthodox sections, the Sanatanis opposed it, upper caste, and the British retreated. British policy towards princely states. What was the British policy? So British policy was internally they had the princely states could rule themselves. External control was by British paramountcy. It is called British paramountcy. So they were used as a bulwark of British Empire. So after 1857, annexation was abolished. ಯಾವ ರಾಜ್ಯಗಳನ್ನು ತೆಗೆದುಕೊಳ್ಳಲಿಲ್ಲ. and they were treated as friends. So later on, Crown adopts the policy of Kaiser Hai Hind. Crown adopts a title called Kaiser Hai Hind. Why did she? So it is called Queen Empress of India. After the adoption of this title, entire all the states that were under the control of British, all the states that were under the control of princely states came under British control. When in 1876, British Queen adopts the Kaiser Hai Hind as the title, and also Lord Curzon says the British princely states ruled on behalf of British Crown. They did not have any proper authority. So also apart from this, we have British also developed railways and everything. Next, British foreign policy in India. Today's last topic, British foreign policy in India. So actually, there many places they go into conflict. Many places they act as friendly. So there was many contradictions. Afghan they opposed, Sindh they opposed, Burma they opposed, Tibet they opposed. So there were many conflicts with neighboring countries, right? So what was the aim of foreign policy? So the aim was to protect Indian Empire. Indian Empire was a profitable empire for British. So to protect it, they designed their foreign policy, and also to extend their commercial and economic interest. Okay, so these were the major points under British British foreign policy. One more policy, British tried to find geographical frontiers. The Anglo-Afghan war, to find the geographical frontier. Okay. And also to oppose other Europeans. Other Europeans would come and occupy India. That was a fear of British. So this completes the topic on survey of British policies in India. Tomorrow we will talk about economic impact of British rule in India. Hope you found the classes useful. Please put it into a proper usage, and please revise and clear your concepts. I wish you all the best. Please take care of your health. Jai Hind. Thank you.